Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader, Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with 3 returning guests and 1 brand new one. We have John, Powell, Jason, and Dan. We're here to celebrate Vengeance Must Die, a awesome pre-launch coming out from Zoop on April 17th. What time are you launching in the morning, Dan?
I think Zoop does all their launches in the afternoon, so I think about 1 p.m. is when they should go live. Yeah, I think they, because of their, I don't know why, but I think all their stuff happens kind of late in the day. I don't know if they're West Coast or what. So, you know,
that's interesting too. I wonder like the significance of the time, because I would imagine they've probably done like the research to figure out like the best like time to hit for their platform at least. But that's cool, and that is interesting. So real quick, let's go ahead and go around the table, start with introductions. On my screen we have John, Powell, Jason, and Dan in the order. I don't know if it's the same for you guys.
Yep. Yes, for me.
Yes, it is. So let's go ahead, we'll just follow that loop. Give us just a little bit about who you are and some of the works that you've been involved with.
Okay, since I'm next to the right of you, my name is John Kissee. I do a comic called Dr. Rigby, which is I'm a trade paperback is coming soon, let's say in a few months from a new publisher, Marcosia, out of the UK, and I'm very excited about it. I've known Dan, the creator of Vengeance Must Die, for many years, and through Dan I've gotten to know Pow and Jason, and all great creators, and just here to support Dan and talk about his project, which is real exciting, and happy to see you all. And here's Chloe, my dog. So she's going to be
very pretty dog.
Chloe!
Very pretty dog. Always excited whenever we see animals come on the stream that aren't my own.
Tiny Wookie.
right.
So, Powell, you are a new guest on the show. Welcome. Finally excited to get you on. Give us a little bit about who you are.
Hey, thank you for having me today. I'm an artist, but also a designer. I do mostly freelance graphic designing. So I don't have a lot of comic works right now because for work purposes, I do mostly I'm busy with mostly design work. So comics is just a side thing for me. But I'm here also to support Dan because we're all in this book. Not this book, but the other book. And I'm thankful. Thank you, Dan, for inviting me onto this book too, because I really need
it. Thank you for wanting to work with this motley crew.
I mean, like I told you before, the team.
Nightmare team.
I loved your first book. That
thank you.
God. Yeah, so I was excited to work with you, and I'm here to support you. So
awesome. Thank you, pal.
And then we have the man of the hour, Dan himself. Dan, what's up? Give us a little bit about who you are.
You skipped over Jason.
Well, for me, it goes John, Powell, Dan, and then Jason, like in the circle.
Sorry.
I thought Jason was the man of the hour. I'm like, yeah.
What about Jason? Jason's the man of the hour. Hi, I am Dan. Cody, first off, before we get too far into the segue, thank you very much for having us on your show. Thank you for making the space, and thank you for creating space for us on it. We truly appreciate you and everything that you do. So thank you very much. I'm Dan Membiela. I'm a writer artist of Under God. You may know me from such works as Under God. And on April 17th, my new book, Vengeance Must Die, full color, hand painted in gouache, horror period piece, will be available on zoop.gg/c/vengeance must die. So I hope that everyone will go check out the pre-launch page now and get clicks so that they can get notified.
Real quick, because that's a perfect spot for me to cut. I am dropping frames. This has been happening the last couple of interviews. I don't know what's going on. I think I'm going to try to take apart my computer and clean it, or get a hold of my internet provider. We're starting to get the frames back now, But I'm just letting you know in the event you go to rewatch it at a later time, there's gonna be a little bit of a drop there. But I'm recording it, so post production I'll salvage it, not a problem. With that being said, we'll go ahead and pick right up because it is greenlit right now. But I just wanted you guys to be all aware in case anyone was like watching or anything. So, last but not least, Jason, we've had you on the show a couple times as well. It's awesome to get you back. How have you been?
I'm good, Cody. Thanks again for having us here. I was really excited to come here and support Dan and his new book, which I got to read early and I thought was fantastic. So I'm here to support Dan. For those of you who've never heard of me, my name's Jason Michalski, and I'm the writer of Northern Blood from Blood Moon Comics, which has a trade paperback and hardcover coming out in the next month or two. And the sequel to Northern Blood is should be hitting shelves late this year, early 2025. Which it's been a blast working on that. And again, I'm just here to support Dan because he's got a great comic, and I'm really, really looking forward to everybody reading it and checking it out.
Absolutely. It's been, Dan looked it up, like 11 months since we last had the little circle, and I feel like so much has changed. Keeping It Geekly took, what was it, like a 2-3 month hiatus where I didn't even interview. I felt like the indie comic podcast scene just stood in shock, like where'd he go, like what happened. And I took a script writing class, so I started coming out with scripts myself.
Nice.
I started growing up, guys. I started trying to get become a little writer myself.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
And I've seen a little bit of your writing, and it's good stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
If we do have time, like the other interview, we should have some Cody questions. I'm sure Cody fans want to know. Like, what are you working on?
Yes, I have a question for Cody.
All right, ask Cody.
Okay, I think we got Cody questions.
Q&A. No,
we do those as your sign-off questions, because don't you normally do advice questions?
Yeah, no,
at the end?
we could run it however you want to, but I think right now, let's talk vengeance.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what we're here. Everyone that is watching, right here is the link to Vengeance Must Die over on Zoom. Be sure to sign up. It is going live April 17th. So you definitely want to make sure you get alerted when that does go live. So Dan, give us the premise for Vengeance Must Die. Like, what is this? What's the story about?
So the logline is Edmond Dantes pledged himself to vengeance, but even after those who wronged him were made to pay, vengeance would not release him. Now he has spent his life in service of the god of retribution. What will be his reward? What are the wages of vengeance? Vengeance Must Die is a 34-page horror period piece, an analysis of the Agent of Vengeance archetype, and the last Count of Monte Cristo story, and available on Zoop April 17th. But it's a last Count of Monte Cristo story that you don't need to know anything about Count of Monte Cristo to be able to enjoy. So if you know Count of Monte Cristo, the Count of Monte Cristo, you will maybe have some other takeaways from it. But if you don't know, you will not be left behind. You will have just as much story and just as much understanding of the story as someone who is very familiar with, even if you just have a passing knowledge of understanding of the Count of Monte Cristo, you will enjoy the story. If you like stories about vengeance, or if you like horror period pieces, if you like stories that analyze, take a look at an archetype and turns it around a little bit and examines it a little more, this is the book for you.
And I've always felt like with your previous works, you've done a really good job of doing that, like finding something, like deep diving it and kind of like shining it in perhaps maybe like a new light or a new perspective that I've always found really interesting.
Thank you.
What drove you to want to cover vengeance?
So John knows the long, turgid history of Vengeance Must Die. Vengeance. So in
many years
in a college English class, yes, in a college English class, I had to read the Count of Monte Cristo just as a project. So the timing, this is disgusting to say. So this would have been circa 1988. I read the Count of Monte Cristo your entire audience is just logged off. Like,
I don't think I was even born. I don't even think I was even an idea at that point.
Gross.
I don't think DOS existed at that point. Let alone.
Yeah. Who read it to you, Ronald Reagan? So anyway,
What, was there color TV back then, or?
Barely.
no, it was just books. You could only read Count of Monte Cristo. That was the one book.
Were the pages in the book, was it like animal hide or was it paper?
Yeah, all the edges were burnt. You know,
It was on a tablet, but a stone tablet, not like a digital one.
It was like the Torah. You got to unscroll it. You know, like.
yeah. So I did the math, and I would have read that just a few years out, just like 2 years out from the finale from reading the finale of Batman Dark Knight Returns, and maybe just a year out from reading Batman Year One. So there's a line. Very briefly, the Count of Monte Cristo is a man who is wronged. He goes to prison. He escapes. He comes across great wealth, and then he rewards everyone who was good to him in the first part of his life, and then now takes this vast wealth and says, I'm going to punish everyone. But what he says, in fact, in the novel, which is in the YouTube video, which I think you're going to play, is he says, and now farewell to kindness, humanity, and gratitude. Farewell to all the feelings that gladden the heart. I have submitted myself for providence in rewarding the good. May the God of vengeance now yield me his, capital H, place to punish the wicked. And that struck my Batman frenzied brain like a lightning bolt. And I was like, this guy is not just on a, like, so you know, like Dark Knight Return has that moment in issue 3 where the Joker has stabbed him and he's on death's door. But then that bat in the cave, which then many other Batman stories afterwards have said things about, like that bat kind of like confronts him, and he somehow he comes out and he's not done. He has to keep going. So all of that fevered nerdy energy struck me, that what happens now when he's like, when you tell the God of vengeance, like, here, let me take the wheel, like give me the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're done with your vengeance, can you just say like, oh, here you go, take it back? And what if vengeance says no? Like, I don't want, you don't get to give me the wheel. Like, now you're stuck still driving vengeance. So that's what happens to Edmond. He stays a servant of vengeance. And the original pitch was a very 90s gleeful, now he's, you know, like a Punisher or like a Ghost Rider, he's an agent of vengeance, and we're going to see all the awesome things he does in the service of vengeance. And that was very much a young man's story. Like, Vengeance Must Die is a different take, where it's like, okay, well, what's left when all the vengeance is done? Like, what do we have left of Edmond? What does he have to say for this lifetime in the service of vengeance? Like, at the moment, in so many things, like movies, comic, all kinds of fiction, we love it. We're, oh yes, righteous, gleeful vengeance. Like, just bathe yourself in blood, you know. But okay, but what happens to the character later? Like, what happens 20 years after that? Like, what's left of the character? So that's kind of what Vengeance Must Die. That's one of the things Vengeance Must Die is about.
So real quick, I'm going to stop the screen. I'm keeping the recording going. It dropped frames again. What I'm going to do is, as soon as this is done and I get my kids, I'm going to just take the video, edit out the 2 breaks, and then just restream that video again. Like, so that way awesome. it'll stream again and it'll just be smooth. So I don't want to have like a mediocre video going, but we're still recording, so that way it'll just take the pressure off the CPU. So Dan, let me ask you, what is vengeance at its core for you? Like, the meaning of vengeance. Like, what does vengeance represent for you?
Well, so vengeance is not justice. Vengeance is retribution. So the original story that I mentioned was called Lex Talionis, which I thought sounded very cool as to pitch my comic as Lex Talionis. Well, what a horrible title, because it's terrible to pronounce. It's terrible to look at, to try to pronounce. No one knows what it means.
Except for the Lex part is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Lex Luthor and Talionis. Like, so But anyway, it's the law of retribution: an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. That's what vengeance is. Justice is something else, and sometimes it could maybe possible that vengeance can be just, but in fiction, it's so easy to just get carried away with we like it and we allow it and we just get swept in this tide of blood and we relish it. But I mean, what happens? What's the morning after like? What's the rest of your life like? I mean, what's left? What were you able to build with your life? So that's what vengeance. And then what happens when you say no more, and vengeance says no more? You don't get to say
let's
no
try.
more. So like, how do you stop? How do you stop? So Edmond has quite a task ahead of him.
I had to ask because there was this interesting thing I seen on Facebook, and I shared it, and it was like, if I had superpowers, I would absolutely like not be a hero. And I was like, I don't think I would be, because like, for me, like if you had the superpowers, you could stop so much horror and carnage. But like at some point, you're killing another person's like father or their brother, and maybe they're fighting for a cause they don't even know what they're fighting about. And at that point, like, are you still a hero? If you might be stopping something that's really vile on your end, but like in terms of like the whole like casualty, like you could be like ending someone who doesn't even know what they're fighting for. And it's like such a convoluted concept. So I really wanted to kind of just dive into it, because vengeance in itself is, right, it's almost like it's almost like a poison. I feel like anger and vengeance, like it's so hard to drain yourself of wanting to retaliate or wanting to wrong someone who's wronged you and get that get back. And I really liked not only that, because I had the chance to read the story, but like your coloring in this was just remarkable. The interiors were gorgeous. Did you say this?
That really means a lot, Cody.
Hand painted?
Because I was yes. So it's painted in gouache. So there's
What's
original
gouache?
And actually part of the part.
What does gouache mean?
What's gouache? It's kind of like if acrylic paint and watercolor had a baby. That's kind of what gouache is.
They named it a weird name. Gouache.
Yeah. So the original ink pages and the painted pages are going to be add-ons for the campaign.
That's so cool.
You'll be able to either pick up matching pages or pick up one or the other, whichever one people like most. But I really appreciate you saying that about the coloring, because I was way, 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 way outside my comfort zone. I was doing a spacewalk, and my tether was all the way out there, and I didn't know what I was. Many times I thought, David Bowie has that great quote about like you should always be working outside of your comfort zone. The other way to look at that is you should always be working uncomfortably, because it's really, many times I was like, what am I doing? I mean, I had to paint 34 of these pages. And I'm happy with how it came out, and I'm pleased with it. I'm glad that I did it. But partway through it, I was like, it's not too late to go back and heavily ink some more of this and just make it a black and white book. Like, it's still not too late to do it. Like, but I'm happy that you liked it.
What was your reasoning? I mean, 'cause a lot of your previous work, was typically black and white, or for the most part not as colorful as this. This one was like just like you said, just something new. You swung out of a different ball field, and I feel like you hit a home run with it.
Oh, thank you very much. I just thought the period element really worked. The coloring could really add to that sense of period. That I tried to achieve a lot of what the light source in the area was, and then everyone is washed in that first, and then they're colored over that. So hopefully that comes through. But the other thing, this was in color, the Blue Bastard zine that I did, but it's very simple, just flat colors.
Here, if you want to hold that back up.
There you go. Here.
I don't think I had a chance to read Blue Bastard.
Oh, I'm going to send you a copy, man.
Yeah, I think I remember when you were because you've been posting a lot on Blue Sky. It's Blue Sky, right? Not Blue Ski. I always want to say Blue Ski.
I believe it is. I believe it is Blue Sky. I believe it is. It is Blue Sky. The would now be. Should I switch to my my sharing to show some of the color?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yep.
So yeah. The Blue Bastard zine will also be an add-on.
Where is? Are you adding the page or is it already added?
Am I adding? I'm going to share,
right here.
Share right now. Yep.
Perfect.
So here's an example. I don't know if that's come through yet.
Mm-hmm.
So here's one of the color pages. There's a big word balloon here. So yeah, Khonshu will not be that prominent in the actual story, but it's
nice little Easter egg though.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little background fun. That was so here's another scene from that same
I really like
scene.
the sound effect too. Let's dwell a little bit on the images and kind of just like check them out.
Yeah.
So I really like the sound effect right there. What's going on in this panel?
So Edmond is on a quest. That's Edmond, and then this is a wizard or a sorcerer, Balsamo. And in the first part of the story, Edmond is on his quest to kill Vengeance, and he finds out that Balsamo is the next step in the chain to find out how to get to Vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
So he's threatening him, but even along the way to end his quest and kill Vengeance, Edmond is still the hand of Vengeance along the way. So even as he's going, he's still, being led by his master of Vengeance. So here he is threatening the wizard, and here is Heidi from a different point in the story, and she is on a quest for another. She's trying to find somebody. So I don't know if you're familiar with the story, you already know that Heidi and Edmond are connected. So she's trying to find Edmond, and we need to know whether she's trying to stop him or what. But she's looking for a monster, and she is doing monstrous things on her journey to find this monster.
I really love the blood and everything too.
Yeah, that panel is such a great piece of storytelling because you see the motion of the knife, you see the somewhat like in a way Frank Quitely-ish, like you can just see the suspended eyeball shows all the motion. Like I love that panel.
Well, even just the emotion on the face too, like the gouache technique. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, gouache. Like gouache. Yeah.
The way it just the face like looks layered. Even can you go back another panel?
Yeah.
Like that, the layering right there, just the different even shades of like blue gray that you use to kind of just darken the area. It's just so cool. And you only get one shot with this, right? Like, is that how it works?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, no
undos like in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Can't undo a paint stroke.
Yes. Yeah, sadly that there is a redo, but it means printing out the page again.
Redoing it
over.
How many times did you have to do that, if you don't mind me asking? Was that something that was kind of hard in the beginning?
Too many times. It was there are too many times. And I mean, luckily there's parts where you can be like, oh, this is the messed up part, so then you can reprint it and just redo the messed up part and then overlay it over the other piece. Like, I mean, it happened more early on, and that's when I was really like, dear Lord, do I really have to do it in color? Like, why don't you let me do it?
And the background too, is the background gouached as well?
Yeah, all of the color is.
That's cool. Like, it almost kind of looks like, I don't know how to explain it, like right above like the arm that's swinging the sword, it almost feels like a coffee stain, you know what I mean? Like a little like water like stained.
Yeah, there's these little blowouts.
Yes, I just love how different it feels.
Full disclosure, all the sound effects are colored digitally. So I wanted the sound effects to look offset from the art. So this purple color, all the sound effects are done in this purple color, and it's all digital.
So when you were designing like outfits, characters, and everything, what inspirations were you using? Like what references?
So I definitely wanted Edmond to have a Inverness cloak, which is that kind of coat, and I'm sure I have a better image that has that half cape on it, just because I think that's such a cool cool look. It lends itself to
I want to start wearing those
kind of characters.
Yeah,
and this is a look. Heidi's look is based off a character from a really great, I am not a fan of mystery shows, but my wife adores mystery shows, and there's a really great show called Scarlet and the Duke, and this was and Scarlet is always like impeccable, you know, like looks great and all the
stabbing people in the eyeballs.
So this is one of her outfits, so I just kind of said like, okay, this is Heidi's outfit. She stole this dress from Elijah Duke.
I really like the highlights as well. Just it seems like such a complicated process, but the payoff is awesome. Especially like in this scene too, like how the greenish like yellowish bleeds into kind of like the blue. Like it's such a cool feeling, and it's one of a kind too. Like how much pressure were you under doing these pages?
The black and white art was the normal fun process that I enjoy, but yeah, when you take the print out, when you start adding this color to it and you say, okay, well, let's say I did the coat, I did the coat looks fine, or I did the face looks fine. There's always like the next part is like, okay, here's where I'm going to mess it up. Like, here's the thing that's going to go wrong, and now this whole page is garbage, and I need to start over. So it was pretty stressful, but by the end I was much more comfortable in it. But my next book is going to be so black and white. It's going to
I learned my lesson.
If I could just jump ahead a little bit. So I think Dan has a real talent for making cool looking panels, especially from like Under God, but I really think with Vengeance Must Die, Dan's storytelling is impeccable with this comic. There's like when I finished reading it, I'm not gonna lie, I was really jealous. I was like, this is really, really good, and like it's really something. It's really inspiring. But there's a 2-page sequence with Edmond traveling to find his master that is just fantastic, and I think the pacing, the visuals, there's no dialogue. It's a like silent montage sequence that goes for about 2 pages or so, and Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but it really is beautiful, and Dan really just knocked his comic out of the park.
Thank you, Jason. Do you mean I don't know if you can see the image I'm sharing, but do you mean the silent chapter of them traveling to?
Yes.
Once they have Vengeance's information? Yeah, yes. Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to do something. I really love Jendi Tartakovsky's work, who does so much with environments. So I really wanted to try to have a little moment of that in it. So there's a completely silent, chapter 4 is a completely silent chapter, or essentially silent chapter of them. They have information and they're on their way to find vengeance.
I really like, there was a spot where I'm trying to remember exactly who put it. It was like they were talking about 7 bodies, and it like you couldn't see it, and then you seen just like the brief outlines of them, and I was like, this is such a cool shot.
Thank you. That page is one of the pages. I wonder if it's here. Oh, that page is one of the pages that I have on as an add-on.
So let's go ahead. We have a YouTube video to check out as well. Let's go ahead and pop that in.
I'm sorry,
real
Dan,
quick?
are all the pages going to be included as add-ons, or is it just select?
I have select pages. I have quite a few select pages that are going to be images that you can, you'll be able to pick the page from the add-ons. But I do have a section. I do have a section where it's at even a reduced price. Any page that isn't one of the pages listed on the Zoop campaign. So theoretically, every page is for sale. But I don't list every single page on the add-on.
Real quick, let's go ahead and watch this video. You guys won't be able to hear it, but everyone else watching will be able to hear it just loud and clear. It's like perfect music too. I love it. That is such awesome music too.
Yeah,
Did you make the trailer yourself?
No, I had a lot of help with the trailer. I knew I wanted to use that Dance Macabre piece, and my son has a communications degree, and he put the video. I said, like, okay, here are all the shots I want. Here are the beats I want them in, and he said, like, why don't you do it this way? I said, oh, that's better, and then he made the video for me.
So I know Jason has a hard cutoff in about 10 minutes, so let's go ahead. Let's talk Where Fox Detective while we still have some time.
Yes.
This is such an awesome logo. I had a chance to kind of hear a little bit of the backstory, but Jason, why don't you go ahead and take the wheel and tell us a little bit more?
Sure. So, Where Fox Detective is an idea that came out of a collaboration between the four of us, Dan, Pao, John, and myself. So we are using the core of the. Sorry, I wasn't ready to really talk about this today. I would have practiced. The core of the story, we're using the real life.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Thank you. We're using the real life story of Kate Warren, who is the first ever female Pinkerton detective from the mid 19th century. Kate Warren is famous for saving the life of Abraham Lincoln in the years leading up to his presidency. And Alan Pinkerton, who was the founder of the Pinkertons, actually called Kate Warren the greatest detective in the world at that point in time. And if you've never heard of Kate Warren, I highly recommend that you look her up. It's an amazing story, and I think everybody should know about her. So we're taking that story, which she has an incredible life and an incredible career as a detective, and we're merging it with the idea that she is a mythical creature called a werefox, which is, similar to a werewolf. So she can change from human to werefox form at will. And we've created this one-shot 22-page comic book that follows the adventures of Kate Warren, werefox detective, who the comic book essentially walks us through the highlights of her career as Pinkerton detective, and all the way up to the point of where she saves Abraham Lincoln and more. So this is kind of like a alternative history comic / adventure / history lesson. And I don't know if it's appropriate to spoil the ending in this video. Maybe we can do that another time. But we do correct a lot of wrongs in that time in history during the Civil War with Kate. So it's a lot of fun. I've the story is something we've all collaborated on. I'm writing the script, but then these three fantastic artists on this call today are doing all of the work in drawing this great story. So I'll hand it over to Dan, Pao, and John to kind of go into it a little bit more.
I love working. It's one thing to work on a project by yourself. It's so much fun to have these amazingly talented and smart and funny collaborators to bounce ideas off of and hear their ideas, and it's really an amazing. I mean, I've always thought sometimes, when they say like, oh, this show was so much fun to make, it's like, well, but you really should have paid attention to how fun the show is for the viewer to watch. Like I kind of understand why people can't help say that, because it's so much fun and so cool to work with these amazingly talented creators and just be in the it's one thing to just be like, all right, head down, you're by yourself, how are you going to get out of this hole? Like it's a very other thing to be like, oh, this person's gonna we're not in a hole at all, like this person's here and this person's here and this person's here.
This person has the ladder to help get us out of the hole.
Exactly. And the story is gonna be, it's so nice, the script is so great. We're in concept art stages, we're still figuring out some, we're still tweaking some things, but it's gonna be awesome. And it really has, like, to Jason said it very well without spoiling anything. A lot of wrongs are corrected, and it really has like a almost like a stand up and cheer kind of moment in the finale. So it's really excellent. It's really excellent.
Jason,
John, what do you all think? What do y'all think about Warify?
Oh, yeah, for me, it's just very exciting to work with you guys. Like I say, I appreciate Dan introducing me to, well, all you guys, really. I wouldn't know any of you without, Dan. So, this has just been a super, I mean, we haven't really even started the full-on process of creating the comic, but we've got a finished script from Jason, which is outstanding. This character, I think everyone will love. It's Kate Warren, but a real historical figure, but a very interesting, fantastical take on her. And it's just got a lot of great moments, great payoff, fun action. So we're all, I think, very excited to, as much as we're excited to work on it, we're very excited to share it too with everybody. And we're gonna be bugging you, Cody, to when this comes out, we're gonna be bugging you for another.
Yes.
Definitely.
Powell, what about you?
No, I just have to say some of the concept art by John and Dan has been really inspiring. I this is like one of the reasons why I do like working with other creators, because when you're working by yourself, you don't get these kind of inspirations. And some of the sketches and ideas they came up with, like that really motivated me to come up with ideas and started sketching and stuff like that too. So I'm really excited for people to see this book, like whenever we get done with it.
I love that. And I was gonna say, Jason, I always love how a lot of your writings feel like a walk back into history, and just to some degree, whether it's fighting and killing Nazis or Pinkertons. I just love how you dive into that and give it such like a fresh breath of air.
Thank you. That means a lot. I always go back in time. I just love history, and I always find there's just so much stuff there to look at and get inspiration from. And I feel like the Kate Warren story was just like fell into our lap. Like it was just like we have to do this. And it's just like one of those like lightning in a bottle moments, I think. But that's what's fun about going back in history, reading about things and researching and just seeing what's there, because I was looking up Pinkertons for something completely different, and I didn't know who Kate Warren was until I stumbled across her on Google. And then I was like, oh wow, we gotta do something with this. And then I just forwarded it over to the team, and then the rest is history. But I do appreciate that, Cody, because I really do have a lot of fun in that sandbox and just going back in time playing with those toys. And
So
see what
where
happens.
are we at with everything? I mean, has any like interiors been started? I know you said you sent off the script, but has there been like any work that's like begun, or is everything kind of like
So
at a stand?
I'll say, and there is an outstanding mock-up cover from John. I don't know if he wants to share it, and I'm not going to pressure him.
No,
but it is
can't.
like it is absolute dynamite. Like,
Yes, it is.
John is incredible. Like, John is like the Shazam of talent. Like, he's just
So
Wow.
also,
like he's got like all the talent gods, behind him in his pen, because man, that cover's dynamite.
also like how's this work? Are all three of you doing like taking turns with the art, or is one handling pencils, one's doing coloring, one's doing lettering? Like what are I guess the respective roles here?
There
We're
are
all
three
sort of
chapters.
splitting up the art chores, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's
So
three
it's three-
chapters, so
it's-
we're each tackling one chapter.
Oh, that is going to be so cool.
Yeah.
Because it'll be like three different like styles, it feels like almost.
Yeah, it's really exciting because all three of these guys are amazing,
Mhm.
and Pao and I got to collaborate a little bit early on in the year on another project, so we kind of got used to the way we work, and the concept art for the project we were working on was just terrific. And Pao's awesome.
So nice.
And
Thank you.
so I'm really, I'm a huge fan of Dan, John, and Pao. So I can't wait for this to happen. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm not
I'm
And
incredible.
I just speaking of how great John and Pao's art is, there's a bonus version of Vengeance Must Die that will have pinups by John and Pao in the back matter, as well as like behind the
love
scenes and bonus material. So that I'm super excited for that. I already saw a little tease of some of it. One of the pinups, Pao's pinup, looks amazing.
You should
So
just
I
let
can't
me do a
wait to
pinup. I'm not even like a good artist, but I'll just do one anyway.
Get in there. Get in there. Get in there.
Dan, I have to tell you, after seeing your watercolors, I might have to up that.
That is sexy. This
Don't
is
say
a
that.
sexy cover. Oh my god.
Right?
Oh,
right,
can you
it's-
see it? Oh,
it's-
okay. I didn't.
That's nice.
This is
It's
just
so
black
awesome.
and yeah. This is another one of my Mignola ripoff covers, but I love that kind of tableau cover where it's like elements placed almost like a stained glass art. But I just wanted to. There's little, there's the Pinkerton badge. That's John Wilkes Booth, and 10/20 is the time Lincoln was shot. So there's little fun. Again, it's all comes from. We were all inspired by Jason talking about this
Mhm.
and the whole period flavor, and I think we're all very excited to explore the. She's gonna look great. I think I think she's very real to all of us already, and I think readers are really gonna enjoy this version of Kate and her.
I love how you have like such a realistic approach to it as well. It feels like
A lot of reference.
yeah, if it feels like a real picture, like that's like just like has like a black and white filter on it with maybe like some exposure. I don't know how to explain it, but you have such a unique style that is just perfect for this cover.
Thanks. I will say that eye is part of clip art that I purchased. It was a Victorian clip art, so yeah.
Looks so good.
And I love the little
Thanks.
Easter eggs too, like the time and everything. Jason, I don't want to hold you up. I know you did say you had a 12 o'clock hard cutoff, so
I do, but I just thank you for reminding me. I just want to say, make sure everybody go out and back Vengeance Must Die, because it really will be the best comic book you read all year. It's just a terrific
Oh,
book,
thank you, Jason.
and Dan is such an awesome person that just go out there and support him however you can. And thank you for having me again. And Dan, thanks for inviting me.
Thank you for making it, Jason. Appreciate it so much.
All right. Thanks again, Cody. I'll talk to you soon. And
Hey, take
talk
it
to
easy,
everybody
man.
else soon.
All right.
Bye.
See you, Jason.
Thanks, Jason. See ya.
All right, now we can actually party.
No, don't say
No, I am just playing. So, Dan, tell us a little bit about Edmond. I mean, what type of character are we looking at? What did you do to add the personality to him? You know, is there any sort of like TV shows or content that you consume that you might have used as like a stepping stone to kind of achieve the character you wanted?
Well, I mean, Edmond is pretty driven. I mean, he's not a character that is we're seeing there is character change that happens in the story, but for the meat of the story, he's belongs to vengeance, and he wants to get out of this contract that he signed up for. So that's his entire character, that's his entire motivation for everything. He's kind of in a bloodlust rage of, you know, he's vengeance's sword that wants to turn on vengeance. So he does have, there is character change for everyone in the comic. No one makes it out the way that they come in, but he's just driven by vengeance alone. So the something that I really tried to do was to have some wry dialogue. I worked very hard at having it not just sound like, oh, this is the way old timey people speak, but I tried to make it like Edmond and Heidi especially. Well, they're both. I mean, they have a very cutting way. Like they don't think highly of the people around them, and they say it. You know, they use innuendos and things to make it clear that they're not there. You know, they're not there for niceties or to talk about things. They're there to get what they want and to get out. And if you're in the way, you're going out also. So I really wanted to do that with the dialogue.
So what are you hoping that readers take away after reading this? Like, what are you hoping that the reader feels?
Yeah, so I mean, there have been lots of stories. There's been lots and lots of stories about an agent of vengeance. This guy is wronged, or something happens, and now this guy is going to make this time it's personal. Everyone's going to pay and keep paying and pay and pay and pay. And then there have been less stories, but still a lot of vengeance is not justice, and maybe what you should seek is justice and not vengeance. But I think what I want Vengeance Must Die to be part of is add to the stories that say maybe you should pause with vengeance. Maybe, and again, there may be situations where vengeance is just, but maybe you should realize what's happening, where you're going to come out with this, or where these characters are going to come out with this, because it's easy to just get lost in the moment or in this thing. But good fiction, the characters, the world should go on. Like, you shouldn't close the back cover, hit stop on something, and then the world, like, don't ever think about the world again, and don't think about what anything meant to them, and that's not good fiction. Good fiction, you should be able to say, oh yeah, and they probably did this, and everyone probably thought that. And so Vengeance Must Die is saying, think about what happens when you hit stop, and when you close that back cover. Where do these people go? What do they have left? So
what's that separating line, I guess, from justice to vengeance? I mean, at what point do you lean over into the vengeance side? Is it like when you don't really, decide what the outcome's going to be of it? Or, like, I guess for you, like, what is that defining line?
Well, I mean, to Edmond, it's definitely retribution, and it's payback to anyone who is wicked, and then that goes from the people in your classic novel to now anyone who is wicked when he tries to give this, like, the do a callback, he tries to give the steering wheel back to Vengeance. So Vengeance isn't so much about justice or making amends or paying back. Vengeance is solely about you took this, I take that from you. You did this, I did this to you. And then also,
Yeah,
yeah. Go ahead, John.
Oh no, I was just gonna. Sorry. No, you just made me think of something, Cody, you said earlier, which I thought was pretty well said about vengeance being like a poison, and like to me, like Dan's previous comic, I think this comic asks a very simple question, but a very compelling question to me, which was, what is vengeance? What is revenge really? Like, is it retribution? Is it an eye for an eye? Is just payback, justice? And for me, I said to Dan, remind me to tell you about, like, this actually made me confront some uncomfortable things about myself.
Ooh.
Which was like, I consider myself a very, like most people, I think I'm a compassionate, kind person. But when I hear things that particularly upset me, like in my case, cruelty to animals or something really, when you hear about something terrible, my reaction is typically like, oh no, outrage. But then my second reaction is like, that person should be tied down to a table and like tortured. Like, then I'm like, oh, is that really, why is that, like, on top of righting the wrong or stopping the wrong, I want to punish the wrongdoer. And it's a strange
but shouldn't
quality.
they be punished? That's like the murky area, I guess.
And is it for me to punish them, or so it is like, I think, like under God, his previous comic, it asks some questions that the answers are not necessarily easy or flattering or comfortable to us human, to the human species. But I think it's an important question to ask. Like, why do we like revenge tales so much? Why is revenge, what they call revenge porn, so popular? Like, it's like, it's a popular thing to be like, okay, this wrong was righted by badass, brutal violence, but then this comic asks a much deeper question, like what you sort of hinted at, Cody. It's like an endless prison of suffering. It's like, it's really not revenge. It's not justice. It's not peace. It's just, you're locked in this, which we see, played out on the world stage. It's like this.
It's like rolling the boulder up the hill every day, right?
Yeah, and it's a never-ending. Yeah,
it's like and that's why I like asking these questions, because it inspires such like deep conversation. Like, back to the animal abuser, like, shouldn't they be punished for doing that, or they're going to keep doing it? At what point?
Well, yeah, I mean,
and it's
for sure
diving into these topics, I feel like really like opens up a lot of the human like nature and psychology, and like what goes into perspectives and viewpoints, and that's what I love the most. Dan, you did like a remarkable job writing something that inspires such deep conversation.
I've been very pleased that a couple times I've been able to be there as someone who reads through Vengeance Must Die. And like I said, even on his way to stop his deal with Vengeance, or to stop his master, he's still the sword of vengeance. He's still acting out as, this agent of vengeance. And I think the reader will, as we have all been trained, will get caught up in that. And then there's an ending that happens, and it, the reaction is kind of like, oh, that's not at all what I was expecting from a vengeance story.
There's a line for me, and this is not a spoiler because I'm not giving it any context, but one character utters this line. I think it's like, it cannot be done, not like this. And for me, that was like, ooh, like the futility of it. I mean, it really is like, and it's, for people considering buying this, it's a fun adventure story, lots of action and stuff, but it sort of sneaks in some real deep things that will make you think and be like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. You know,
I really loved when they were like, "It's vengeance time."
Yeah, they're badasses. Yeah,
it's vengeance time. No, Dan. So you said you're going straight to black and white for your next book after this. I mean, I love this. I love how far you push yourself. I think this is probably one of your most ambitious titles to date, honestly.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I really did try very hard with the gouache, and I'm happy with how it came out. But yes, if what people want to see is an artist working outside their comfort zone, boy, this is the book for you, because I was dangling by just a thread out there. It was
had to talk you off a couple of ledges.
I'm happy with how it. Yeah, gosh,
madness.
I'm happy with how it.
So we are nearing that 1 hour mark. Let's go ahead. Let's talk Dr. Rigby, John. You got something new coming out for us?
Yes. Well, this comic and
So
character. Thanks. That I've been working on for quite a while now, but has been picked up by a publisher called Marcosia, which is a wonderful. They've been around a long time. They have a great back catalog of wonderful comics and graphic novels, and so I was very pleased. I'm still working on completing this project, but it'll be some previously published material along with 4 new shorter stories with the character Dr. Rigby, who is like I guess the easiest pitch is like Lovecraft meets James Bond. It's weird horror, but it's set in the mid-century kind of 60s spy chic, and Dr. Rigby is this mysterious character with some cool weapons, and he's a pretty. I tried to kind of design him as a combination of Mr. Spock and James Bond. He's sort of like a weirdo James Bond in a weird horror world. So that the comic will probably not be out for a few months, but I'm definitely going to be bugging you again, Cody, for more of your time.
The one thing I love so much is just your art style. It's so like mesmerizing is the word, I feel.
Well, man, thank you. It does, for this particular stuff, I do take a lot of I do use a lot of reference, but sorry, I'm just trying to get a tab going here where yeah, I was going to share the cover, but yeah, I mean, it's a style that I wanted to feel very realistic. Well, at least cinematic, or feel like possibly an old Hitchcock movie or a Twilight Zone episode. I don't know if you can you see the cover?
Yeah. Looks great.
So this is the new cover for the new project, which is called Dr. Rigby Tales from the Deep. So it's a compilation of short stories. Well, not different length stories. So he fights vampires. He fights a possessed haunted house, a mermaid from hell, an omnipotent space god, and much more. Actually, not much more. But
tune in next week to learn more.
Yeah. So I'm just very excited about it, and it's a labor. I'm putting a lot of work and heart into it. It's very fun to work on, and I'm excited to share it with readers.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
So nice. I love the retro, timeless. Like, it's like just this side of retro, so that it doesn't look like, oh, is it an old timey thing? Like, I know that the stories do fluctuate in time a little bit, but it's just so nice. Like, it reminds me a little bit of like, which John, I know we were both big fans of, like how Batman the Animated Series had a slight Art Deco look to things that they designed, like where it was like, it would be like, oh, they're using a computer, but then it would be shaped kind of like a 40s radio or something, but it was a computer screen. And, it adds such a nice, fires some nice neurons when you see the old timey, but with contemporary things. Like, it's very nice.
Yeah, I don't know how to even describe it, because I don't want to do like any injustice, but it feels like you hit that realistic feeling, and then it's like, it almost feels like an acid trip. Like it's like the best way I could explain
Yeah,
it.
that-
Like
well,
it
no,
feels
that-
like it's like
That's exactly what, because a lot of what I wanted it to have this cinematic feel, but also this trippy old 60s Spider-Man watercolory trippy dippy feel.
he's like, I'm
too.
tripping on that
So
while
it's
I'm
like-
making it, so it's crazy you said that.
Right. Yeah. I feel like I'm tripping with. Yeah, but a lot of, people wearing nice suits like Mad Men, but there's like acid jazz colors in the background. But yeah, it's I don't know if there's time for me to fiddle around and try to put another page up, but
Yeah, go ahead. We got a little bit more time to kill.
yeah, so it's let me see.
And while we wait, Dan, what's your favorite banned book of the week? Anyone listening, what's a banned book they should check out?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Pow, did you just have an answer right at the tip of your tongue there?
No.
It looked like you were good. I apologize that I saw a ridiculous thing that someone posted that Everybody Poops was in some district's banned book list, which that's just shows how ridiculous the whole push to it's just a trying to cause division and but yeah, it was a person who was they were protesting that books had been banned, and then a police officer came over to make sure that they were okay, and then it's a picture of the police officer incredulously looking at the list of books that were banned because one of them was Everybody Poops. So
Amazing.
So I'm gonna say that's my favorite band.
That's
book
crazy.
of the week.
It's true though, right? I mean, I don't know. Everyone does at some point.
I mean, I
deal
do
with
know
it.
everyone does.
How did we get here? This podcast is taking a crazy turn. Pyle, what have you been up to? Do you have any projects that you're working on or have in the works while John is pulling up some interiors for us or an image?
No, unfortunately, I'm busy with my day job mostly, and I was just lucky, like I said before, that these two creative-minded people decided to pull me into their project. So I'm here by, their invitation.
How
I'm
is the
so
real
glad
deal?
for it.
So we're lucky. Yeah.
Cody, so the project that I got to see some of your writing in, Powell was part of that project also, and so like 2 for 2 now, like me, like nervously like, Powell, sorry to bother you. Would you be interested in working on a project? It's like 2 for 2. Like I scored gold there. Like yes, Powell said yes. Like,
Dan,
me anxiously like, hey, I have a stupid idea. You want to work with a bunch of losers? Like, come work with us.
With a
Dan,
pitch like that, how can you?
I haven't told you this, Dan, yet, but I was a big fan of your first book. Under God.
Oh,
So
thank you, bro.
I like
Thank you. I
like
appreciate that very much. You were always very supportive of it during the camp. When
yeah,
I was
I like your writing. I like the stories that you weave, and like it makes you think, and those are the kind of stories I want to be part of. So
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so excited to be working with you. This Where Fox is going to be such a good looking book. Can't wait.
All right. And just to give you guys a heads up, I do have just a few more minutes where all my army of children are going to be getting dropped off and beating down the door. So the little geeks and geekettes.
Wow, look how nice that looks, John.
Yeah, and I just love like the illuminating feel, the highlights, I guess. Is that the proper terminology?
Yeah, sure. Like, and in this particular, I'm always trying to play with the color palettes and stuff. So I wanted this is that eerie feeling of being in an abandoned parking lot at night. So these people are surrounded by vampires trapped in a church van, and hilarity ensues. And then here's another, actually the first Rigby story I did about this mermaid character. So there's just a lot of there's a lot of interesting antagonists for Dr. Rigby to battle in this new book coming out. So
Exciting.
You do such
Exciting.
nice stuff with the screen tone texture on those pages.
Yeah.
Like that's the way you.
it's a lot
you
of
have the screen
trial and
tone
error.
Fade it like it's almost like negative at some parts and then positive, and it fades between the two. Like it's.
Dude, well, it's digital. I can do that in gouache. Believe me. A lot of undos and a lot of layers there. But thank you.
I couldn't do that in gouache either.
So Dan, the man,
Yes.
if for anyone
Yes.
who's on the fence about backing, what would you like to say to them to help push them over that hump?
I think that Vengeance Must Die is a book that you will enjoy if you are a fan of horror period pieces, books that analyze character tropes or analyze situations, and original gouache painted art. I think you are going to enjoy the book. It's a book for you. It's got excitement. It's got some comedy, actually, I think, in it. There's some wry kind of lines in it, a lot more than Under God. It's got a lot of action, and there's you like vengeance. This book isn't. This book doesn't scrimp on the.
You like
vengeance.
stabbing
There's plenty
people?
of vengeance in it. Yeah, you like people getting stabbed. You like
Come for the vengeance,
Like-
stay for the lessons you'll learn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
through blood and
Yeah,
carnage.
Right.
Yeah,
No, I
the real
love that.
vengeance was the friends we made along the way.
So we do have to be wrapping up. You guys have all been on the show besides
Yes.
Pal. Pal, this is your first time, so hey,
Thank you.
we always love having a piece of advice and then what you're consuming outside of creating. I also think this is the longest show that I've done since like 6 months ago, at least half a year. So congratulations on that. Like I'm like starting to feel like tired and weathered now. I used to do like 2-hour shows a day, and it's like, man, what happened? I'm getting old. So for anyone out there looking to try something different, Dan, you did a whole brand new art style and you killed it. What would be your biggest piece of
thank you so
advice? Because
much.
there's a lot
did,
of like
man.
self-defeat in that, right? There's a lot of like, why am I doing this? Should I stop doing this? Like,
Yes.
how do you push through that?
I think the way to push through that is to accept that you are in an uncomfortable space, and that is where you intended to put yourself, and you're feeling it and you're going through it, but you're gonna get to the other end of it, and then it'll be a completed work that you'll be happy with. Like, you don't let you do want to be working outside of your comfort zone. You will be extremely uncomfortable while you're doing it. That's the point. You need to sit with it. You need to just be aware that that's where you're supposed to be and keep going. And then next time you can just do a fully black and white book. If you do that, you deserve a little treat.
You've
Then you
earned
can
a
have a
black and
little
white
treat
book.
where your next book is just totally black and white.
I love that. I love that. So what are you guys all consuming outside of creating? TV shows, books, and video games, anything in between? You know, what are you up to?
I haven't been
Star
able to
Trek-
watch much
Star Trek
TV, but
Discovery.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Just started.
I've been watching
Paul's like-
Love, Death, and Robots.
Paul's like, you guys have free time to do stuff?
Right.
I know, I was telling them the most exciting thing I've done is like my tax return. I'm such a poor.
Oh,
I still have to do mine. I have like 2 weeks to go until I'm screwed.
there's plenty of time.
Now, Pal, do you do illustrations on your like in the forum? You do like a sword wielding barbarian woman, or something, you know, like that would make it fun. Like, you get a refund.
You gotta distract the IRS somehow, right?
Yeah, it's filed completely in sequential art.
Yeah, make them figure it out.
So, Dan, John, what are you guys consuming? Anything fun?
Well, this is, everyone's probably seen all these, but I've been watching Love, Death, and Robots just only because it's super easy to watch it in small increments, and I'm on such a tight deadline now with this new book. I'm having to use all my free time to try to complete it, but geez, that's just a mind-blowing show.
I watched the first couple episodes and it was pretty wild from what I remember.
Well, they're all different. That's
Yeah.
the neat thing about, and some of the animation styles are just very inspiring. And they're all one and done stories, which is cool. But
Yeah, that is so much fun. I love that. I love that. I love that. All right.
How about you,
so
buddy? What do you
I
watch?
have. Yeah, I forgot you guys were gonna ask me some
Besides
questions.
everything.
I've been reading a lot of Chainsaw Man, so I just finished up all 14 volumes, and then I just finished up the Buddy story. Diving a lot into anime as well. Surprisingly, I don't know what it's been, but I just been like sinking my teeth into it. A lot of horror stuff, a lot of just gore stuff, a lot of stuff that would make people like, okay, well, keeping it geekly might need to talk to a psychiatrist or a therapist. But I promise,
get it out in the comics.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing all right, guys. Like, everything's fine at home. Playing Helldivers 2 on the PlayStation 5. That is such a fun game. I had the chance to dive into the Echoes of Ada, which is like a mech-based shooter game, which was really fun, like Titanfall. Really just been focused on. I've been working like 13-hour days, so focused on trying to keeping it geekly, like floating, like in the midst of just being exhausted and tired. I know I got you guys the link at like 3 a.m. yesterday.
Yeah.
Was the
Yeah, I saw you
hiatus
posted
helpful though?
The hiatus helped a lot. You know, the thing is,
Yeah,
I was
you
doing
needed something.
I was doing so many interviews that like I really, not much has changed, but I take a time off to kind of relax instead of just doing interviews all day long, which is nice. And I will say, not doing as much helps. I don't feel as burned out. I don't feel.
Yeah.
It's nice when I have fresh stuff to talk about, and I don't feel like I'm just talking like the same thing over and over. Because once you do so much, you just get into like, it's hard to not break into like a streamlined version of like questioning and interviewing. And I feel like having like a day or two break lets me like rejuvenate the batteries.
Yeah. You have to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for you.
Oh, and these are good for me as well. I always love getting all the friends on the show, seeing what's up, seeing what's to come, and best of all, exploring the new book. So guys, thank you so much for swinging by. We do have to wrap it up. I hope everyone has had a fantastic time. Everyone watching, be sure to check out this awesome campaign. The link is in the description. Be sure to sign up for the pre-launch. April 17th is when it goes live. With that being said, I hope you all have a fantastic Sunday. Most importantly, keep it geekly.